I was working at a historic pub in London. An American tourist ordered a pint of Guinness and watched me pour it with the traditional two-part method, letting it settle in the middle. He started shaking his head and sighing. "You're doing that all wrong," he said loudly. I was a bartender in college for a semester. You're supposed to pour it hard and fast to get a good head on it. You're just wasting time and killing the carbonation. He then tried to instruct me on the correct way to pour Ireland's most famous export in the middle of England with the confidence of a master brewer. During a business trip to Shanghai, my American manager was shocked that most locals used apps like WeChat Pay or Alipay instead of credit cards. He confidently told our Chinese hosts, "You all need to be careful. Tying your entire financial life to one app is a huge security risk. In the US, we have a diverse portfolio of payment methods. Credit, debit, cash. It's a more robust and secure system." He was lecturing people in one of the most advanced digital payment economies in the world about the superiority of carrying a wallet full of plastic cards. I was part of a guided tour of a sustainable, eco-friendly farm in Costa Rica. An American on the tour, who owned a suburban lawn care business, kept interrupting the guide. "This is all very quaint," he said, looking at the complex permaculture layout, "but it's incredibly inefficient. You could triple your yield with some basic pesticides and fertilizers. And this whole companion planting thing is just folklore. A good monoculture crop is much easier to manage and far more profitable. You're leaving a lot of money on the table by being sentimental." An American exchange student in my philosophy class in Athens argued with the professor about the Socratic method. After a lengthy discussion, the student said, "I just don't think it's a very effective teaching style. It's too confrontational." In America, we focus on positive reinforcement and creating a safe space for ideas. Constantly questioning people just undermines their confidence. He was critiquing the foundational method of Western philosophy in its birthplace for not being sensitive enough. I worked for a software company in India. We hired an American project manager to streamline our workflow. On his first day, he saw our team having their afternoon chai and snacks together. He called a meeting and said, "This 30-minute unscheduled break is killing our productivity. From now on, we'll be implementing agile chai. You can get your tea, but you must hold a stand-up meeting while you drink it to discuss project blockers. There's no time for idle chit-chat in a competitive global market." At a cheese shop in the Swiss Alps, an American tourist was sampling a piece of Gruyere that had been aged for 18 months. He chewed thoughtfully, then announced to the cheesemaker, "This is pretty good, but it's a little too sharp. You're aging it for too long." In Wisconsin, we've perfected the process. We know that the sweet spot for cheddar is 6 to 9 months. You're pushing it past its peak flavor profile. He was trying to apply the logic of American cheddar production to a completely different centuries-old European cheese. I was on a train from Rome to Florence, and the train was delayed by 15 minutes. An American sitting across from me was fuming. He loudly called the conductor over and said, "This is unacceptable." In the United States, our trains run on a precise schedule. If a train is this late, customers are entitled to a full refund. You can't just operate with this level of unprofessionalism. Anyone who has ever taken Amtrak would have found this statement deeply, profoundly hilarious. An American tourist was visiting a centuries-old Buddhist temple in Thailand. He saw the monks in their saffron robes, meditating, and approached one of them. "Excuse me," he said, "I'm a certified life coach, and I've studied mindfulness. I have some feedback on your technique. Your posture is a bit rigid, and you're not controlling your breathing in the optimal 4-7-8 pattern for relaxation. I can walk you through a few exercises that will really enhance your spiritual practice." My American roommate in Sydney was horrified that we hang-dried our laundry on a clothesline instead of using an electric dryer. "This is so primitive," he exclaimed. "It takes forever. and the clothes get all stiff. A machine dryer is a basic modern convenience. It's 2023. Not only is it faster, but the heat kills all the germs. Your method is probably not even sanitary. He was completely unaware of the energy conservation benefits and the fact that the Australian sun is a powerful sterilizer. I was at a public health clinic in Canada, waiting for an appointment. An American tourist had come in with a minor issue and was shocked when he was told he wouldn't receive a bill. He argued with the receptionist, "That can't be right. Nothing is free. How do you pay your doctors? This seems like a very unsustainable business model." In America, the free market drives quality and innovation in healthcare. This system must be cutting corners somewhere. I'd rather pay and know I'm getting the best. An American manager was sent to our office in Spain. He immediately tried to cancel our traditional siesta, the long midday break for lunch. He presented a slideshow explaining that a power lunch at our desks would be more efficient. This 2-hour break in the middle of the day kills momentum, he argued. By adopting the American standard 1-hour lunch, we can increase our daily output and get home earlier. He was trying to fix a core part of the Spanish work-life culture with a PowerPoint presentation. I witnessed an American tourist at the Dead Sea trying to swim laps. He was getting frustrated that the extreme buoyancy kept forcing his legs up. He called out to a lifeguard, "Your sea is broken. The salt content is way too high. It's impossible to get any proper exercise in this. You should dilute it with some fresh water to make it more user-friendly for swimmers." He was giving geological and chemical advice to Mother Nature. An American vlogger was filming in a bustling market in Marrakesh. He was haggling with a vendor over a leather bag. After a back and forth, he turned to his camera and said, "Okay guys, so the key to haggling is to understand American-style negotiation. You start with a low-ball offer, anchor their expectations, and then meet in the middle. It's a universal principle of sales that they don't fully grasp here, but they're learning." He was acting as if he had invented the ancient art of bargaining. In a German supermarket, an American was staring at the egg section with intense confusion. He flagged down an employee and asked, "Why are all your eggs out here on the shelf? They're not refrigerated. This is a massive health code violation." In the US, all eggs must be kept cold to prevent salmonella. You're going to make people sick. He had no idea that American eggs are washed, removing their natural protective cuticle, while European eggs are not, making refrigeration unnecessary. I was on a guided tour of the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. An American on the tour, who had once been on a camping trip in Yellowstone, kept correcting the local indigenous guide. "Are you sure that's a poison dart frog?" he'd ask. "It doesn't look like the pictures in the books I've seen, and you shouldn't be handling that plant without gloves. Basic wilderness safety." The guide, whose ancestors had lived in that forest for thousands of years, just smiled patiently. An American tech CEO was visiting our startup incubator in Estonia. He looked at our open-plan office and communal kitchen and said, "This is a good start, but you're missing the key elements of a true innovation hub. Where are the ping-pong tables? The beer keg? The nap pods? You can't foster creativity without the right lifestyle perks. That's the Silicon Valley model, and it's proven to work." He was trying to teach one of the most digitally advanced societies in the world how to be more like a tech company. At a bakery in Paris, an American was complaining about his croissant. "It's too flaky," he told the baker. "It's falling apart as I eat it, and there's butter everywhere. A well-made croissant, like the ones we get at coffee chains back home, should be more like bread. It should hold its shape. This is just a mess." He was critiquing a perfect, traditional French pastry for not being more like a mass-produced American one. I was working at a hotel in Iceland during the winter. An American guest called the front desk at 2 p.m. to complain. "Hi, my room is way too dark. I think the power is out." I explained that due to the time of year, we only get a few hours of daylight. He replied, "Well, can you turn it on?" "I came here to see the scenery. This is really poor planning on your country's part. You should have some kind of giant lights to illuminate the landscape for tourists." An American tourist in a Japanese onsen, hot spring, refused to get in the water. He told the staff, "I'm not getting in there until you add some chlorine." A public bath with this many people needs to be properly sanitized. It's a breeding ground for germs. In America, every public pool and hot tub is chlorinated by law. It's just basic hygiene. He was trying to enforce American pool regulations on a sacred natural hot spring. My American friend came to visit me in the Netherlands and was amazed by the bike lanes. "This is incredible," he said. "But you've made a huge mistake. They're way too small. In America, when we build a road, we make it wide enough for a fire truck. These lanes should be at least twice as wide to accommodate larger groups and ensure safety. You've got the right idea, but the execution is all wrong." An American at a vineyard in the Chianti region of Italy was talking to the winemaker. "Your wine is fantastic," he said, "but your marketing is terrible. Chianti Classico, it sounds old-fashioned. You should rebrand. Call it something modern and catchy like Tuscan Rush or Vino Vibe. And you need a better logo, something sleek and minimalist. I do some branding consulting on the side, and I can tell you that your heritage isn't a selling point anymore." I was in a history museum in Vietnam, at an exhibit about the Vietnam War. I overheard an American telling his son, "See, this is their version of the story. It's very biased. They're trying to make us look like the bad guys." But what they don't teach you is that we were there to bring them democracy and freedom. We were the good guys, and it's a shame they don't appreciate the sacrifices we made for them. He said this with complete sincerity, while surrounded by photographs of the war's devastation. An American was attending a traditional music performance in Ireland. After a particularly complex and soulful fiddle solo, he turned to his friend and said, "He's pretty good, but he's playing it all wrong. The tempo is all over the place. It's not consistent. He needs a metronome to keep a steady beat. It's like he doesn't even understand basic music theory." He was trying to apply the rigid structure of pop music to the fluid, emotional art of traditional folk. My American manager in our Dubai office insisted on scheduling mandatory team-building exercises on Friday afternoons. He couldn't understand why this was met with so much resistance. "It's the end of the week, the perfect time to unwind and bond," he'd say. He completely ignored the fact that Friday is the holy day in Islam and the start of the weekend in the UAE, a time for family and prayer. He thought the local employees were just being antisocial. An American tourist in Peru was looking at the intricate stonework of Machu Picchu. He turned to the guide and said, "This is impressive for its time, but I have to be honest, the mortar work is a little sloppy. The gaps are inconsistent." My uncle is a bricklayer in Ohio, and his work is perfectly uniform. These guys were talented amateurs, but they could have used some modern tools and techniques to really perfect it. He was critiquing the mortar-free construction of the Incas. I was on a flight to South Korea, and the flight attendant served bibimbap. The American next to me was perplexed. He called the attendant over and said, "Excuse me, you've given me a bowl of uncooked ingredients. There's raw vegetables and a cold egg on top of this rice. Could you please take this back and have the chef cook it properly? I think there's been a mistake in the kitchen." He thought the national dish of Korea was an unfinished meal. An American was visiting a friend's new apartment in Berlin, which had radiators for heat. He looked at them in confusion and said, "Where's the thermostat? How do you control the temperature? And there are no vents. You don't have central air. This is so inefficient. You're just heating the walls. In America, we've had forced air heating and cooling for decades. It's a much more logical and comfortable system." At a tailor shop in Hoi An, Vietnam, an American was getting a suit made. The tailor took his measurements meticulously. The American stopped him and said, "Don't worry about being so precise. Just make it a standard American size 42 long. I know my size. All suits are made to the same universal measurements. It will be faster for you." He was trying to apply industrial mass production standards to the art of bespoke tailoring. An American tourist in Cairo was looking at the pyramids. He shook his head and told his family, "It's a real shame they use such a basic shape. It's just a triangle. Think of what they could have built with all that stone if they'd had a little more architectural imagination. A dome or some arches, maybe? It feels like a missed opportunity, creatively speaking." I was working in a bookstore in Edinburgh when an American came in asking for the Robert Burns section. I pointed him to the poetry aisle. He spent a few minutes looking at the books and then came back to me, looking annoyed. "I can't read any of this," he said. "It's all written in some kind of old-fashioned slang. Why hasn't anyone translated it into modern standard English? It's a shame to let the work of such an important poet be so inaccessible." An American was at a public bathhouse in Budapest. He saw people playing chess on floating boards in the thermal pool. He swam over and said, "You guys know there are waterproof phones and tablets now, right? You could be watching Netflix or trading stocks right here in the pool. Chess is so analog. You should really upgrade your poolside entertainment. It's all about multitasking and maximizing your leisure time." My American friend was visiting me in India and saw the Dabbawalas of Mumbai, the lunchbox delivery network. He was amazed. "This is a brilliant logistical system," he said, "but it's completely dependent on manpower. I have an idea. You could replace all these guys with a single app and a fleet of drones. It would be faster, cheaper, and more scalable. I'm going to write a business plan. This is a billion-dollar idea." He saw a complex social system, not as a cultural marvel, but as a market inefficiency to be disrupted. An American tourist in a cafe in Vienna ordered a slice of Sachertorte. After one bite, he called the waiter over. "This cake is too dry," he complained. "A good chocolate cake should be moist and fluffy, almost like a brownie. This is dense and a little bitter. You guys should try using a boxed cake mix from the States. They've really perfected the formula for a crowd-pleasing chocolate cake."